Hi everyone, I'm Miss Lydia from the Boston Library. Thank you for joining me for today's craft project. Today we are going to make a fall garland using old book pages and leaves. So you can use real leaves that you've pressed, or I have some paper leaves that I'm going to be using just to make the project a little bit easier today. But you can definitely use real leaves. Just press them between a couple of pieces of parchment paper under a heavy book for a few days up to a couple of weeks so that they're fully dried. The first thing that we're going to need to do is measure out the string for the garland. So I'm going to string this on the fireplace mantle, so I wanted to make sure that I had enough string to go all the way across. So I figured out my length. I have a piece of, you can use yarn or string or basically anything that you have on hand. Rope would work too if you're going for a slightly heavier look. So I have that all measured out, and then the next thing I need to do is take my book paper and I'm going to cut it into pendants. So I have these pre-cut. You can use any size. I will post a template that you can use, that you can print off and then just use it to cut out a bunch of pieces of paper this size. You can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, basically whatever look you're going for. You can also make just a single triangle pendant too. So what I'm going to do is space these out. So I'm going to find the center point of my string, and then I'm going to put one on either end of that, and then I'm going to evenly space them from there. So I can move my leaves to the side for now. So I'm going to get these all spaced out now. You can use glue, but the easiest way that I've found is to use a stapler. So I have my piece of string, I'm setting down a little bit, and then I'm going to try to fold this right over top of it. Now in order for these to hang evenly, you want to make sure that you're using the same fold over top of that string. So I'm going about, let's say about a quarter, between a quarter and a half an inch over that, and then I'm just going to, with my string inside, staple that, and then make sure that it's held tight with the string, and staple the other side. And then I'm going to go evenly spaced all the way down. You can use any type of paper too. If you have scrapbooking paper that you want to use, you can use that. You can use construction paper. You could use just plain old white paper too. I like using the dictionary pages because it gives a little bit of interest to it. If you do this right, so that you're not stapling through the string, you can actually then slide these afterwards so that you get them evenly distributed. You can move it back and forth. So I'm not going to worry too much about my spacing at this step. I'm just going to make sure that I'm not stapling through the string. Once I finished stapling them all, I made sure that I didn't staple through the string at all, and now I'm going to start adding my leaves. So I'm going to flip those over, get the stapler out of the way. I have 16 pendants for my garland, so you can make them again as long or as short as you want. And I have a glue stick, and I'm just going to start picking random leaves and gluing them down. I'm going to try to do an assortment as I go so that I get color variation and shape variation as well. In the midst of my craft, I discovered that every glue stick in the house was totally dry. So we have a change of scenery, and I'm going to show you how to finish the project. So I have all of my banners finished, stapled. They're all set so that you can slide them to space them evenly. And then I'm going to flip them over so that I'm using the other side, not the side where it's folded over. And I have all of my paper leaves. I have an assortment of colors and shapes here. Like I said, you can use regular leaves as long as you press them for about a week or so beforehand. And I have my glue stick now. And I'm basically just going to go and glue all of the leaves across all of my banners and do kind of an assortment of colors and sizes so that I get some variety here. You can do them straight up and down. You can have the stems facing down or up. I like to go with kind of a back and forth, so you can see I've got these two pointed towards each other and then those two pointed away. Kind of staggering it that way, it gives it a more natural look. One of the nice things about using a glue stick instead of regular glue is that if your placement does get off, as long as you discover it pretty quickly, you can just pull it up and set it back down. I'll put a template up on the Facebook page for the banners. You can, again, use a pendant shaped like this or just a regular triangle. You could do squares as well. You can use the book pages, you can use scrapbooking paper, construction paper, whatever you have on hand. And the paper leaves are real nice because they're just perfectly flat already, but if you don't have those on hand, go out and pick some leaves off the ground, press those in between some parchment paper, and glue those right on there too. If you have any questions, let us know. We will see you again next week for another craft project.